This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 781. Are you a Lightworker or a Darkworker? By Steve Pavlina of stevepavlina.com. And I'm Justin Malik, your very own personal narrator. Welcome to Optimal Living Daily, or OLD for short, where I narrate the best blogs I can get permission from to help you optimize your life. Before we get to the post, thank you to Talkspace for sponsoring this episode. Talkspace is an online therapy company that enables you to improve your mental health from anywhere at any time. Get matched with a licensed therapist from over 2,000 choices and message them whenever you need to. No commutes and no judgments. For a special offer just for you, visit Talkspace.com/old and use the code OLD to get $30 off your first month and show your support for the show. Talkspace, it's therapy for how we live today. I'll keep this intro nice and short for you, so let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. Are you a Lightworker or a Darkworker? By Steve Pavlina of stevepavlina.com. Asking this question is like asking whether you're a black belt in karate or jiu-jitsu. Most likely you are neither, since most people never make such a commitment in their entire lives. Lightworkers and darkworkers combined probably account for less than 1% of the population. Becoming a lightworker or darkworker isn't something that just happens to you. It's a conscious choice, one the vast majority of people never make. You may have leanings towards one polarity or the other, and you can certainly experiment with both polarities as much as you desire, but becoming a lightworker or darkworker means making a special commitment to mastery of a single polarity. What does it mean to polarize? When you decide to polarize, you're making a commitment to living a certain type of life. It is similar to making a commitment to a particular field that takes a long time to master, such as training for the Olympics, becoming a concert pianist, or becoming a grandmaster at chess. You aren't just going to wake up one day to discover that, oh yeah, you're a 10th degree black belt, nor will you suddenly wake up and realize you're a lightworker or a darkworker. Polarizing as a lightworker or darkworker is a huge long-term commitment. It doesn't just happen by itself in a flash of insight. The decision to polarize is a decision you make with every fiber of your being. For some people, it may be a natural choice, felt as a type of calling. Others have to spend a lot of time exploring both polarities to make the polarization commitment very consciously and deliberately. But most people never polarize. If you polarize as a lightworker, you are dedicating your life to serving the greater good. If you polarize as a darkworker, you are dedicating your life to serving yourself. To use a Star Wars analogy, it is similar to deciding whether or not to become a Jedi or a Sith. It should be rather obvious that most people never make this kind of commitment in their entire lives. Hence, most people are neither lightworkers or darkworkers. The two extremes of committing one's life to serving the greater good or to serving one's own self-interest are not attractive to most people. It is simply not for them. After you polarize, your polarity becomes the central focus of your life. You live and breathe it every day. It almost becomes part of your DNA. It is impossible to compartmentalize such a commitment. You can't work at a mental job and do light working or dark working on the side. That's like trying to be president of the USA on the side. Being a light worker or dark worker is a 24/7 deal, 365 days a year. It is who you are, not merely what you do. Those who haven't polarized are free to experience both polarities, but at a much lower level of intensity than either a lightworker or darkworker can. In fact, it's of great benefit to explore both polarities and understand how they work. If you are a lightworker or darkworker, you will have zero doubt about it. That is by definition. If you have any doubt about it, you haven't polarized. This is as basic a thing as knowing you're a black belt in a certain martial art. If you have to ask the question, you're not a black belt. Either that or you have a really bad memory. Why polarize? The reason to polarize is because you're ready to make a conscious commitment to a certain type of life. You're willing to devote your whole being either to serving the greater good or to serving yourself. That commitment becomes your life purpose. It becomes the very core of your identity. You are saying to the universe, this is who I am. When you make this commitment, you will know yourself on a level you've never known yourself before. You will awaken every day knowing why you're here, not because someone told you why, but because you've defined your own why through the power of conscious choice. Every moment of every day, you will know who you are and what you are here to do. Polarization bestows a new level of intensity, drive, and motivation. Problems and obstacles that previously would have plagued you will seem like trivialities. When you set a goal that aligns with your polarity, you'll know, not hope, it'll be accomplished. Doing replaces trying. Consequently, you'll expand the scope of your goals to match your intensity. You'll also greatly extend your timeline for considering the consequences of your decisions, thinking 10, 20, 50 years ahead as a matter of course. Short-term indulgences will be replaced by long-term commitments. Just as there are degrees of mastery in any field, there are degrees of polarization. The more polarized you become, the more you tap into your deepest levels of inner power. Whether you're a Darkworker or a Lightworker, your source of power is always found within. It is not a form of agency or positional power. You can be stripped of all your worldly titles and possessions and still feel just as strong. As a Lightworker, your energy flows outward. As a Darkworker, your energy flows inward. The source of this flow is always inside you, centered within your consciousness, and your polarity determines the flow's direction. What if you don't want to polarize? If you don't want to polarize, don't. You're free to continue using both polarities if you so choose. Just be aware that you can never expect to master either polarity unless you commit to one or the other. In other words, if you don't polarize, you will always live with the knowledge that you lived far below your potential in terms of your ability to serve others or to serve yourself. Your service to the world as well as your service to yourself will be mediocre at best compared to what you could have achieved had you polarized. This should be rather obvious. When you polarize, you are making a strong commitment, and when you're truly committed to something, you will invest a lot more time and energy into your pursuits than you would otherwise. Polarization is a special kind of commitment, similar to committing to mastery of a specific field like music, art, medicine, or programming. Most people never make such a huge commitment, but you cannot hope to master anything unless you commit to mastery of one thing. Mastery is a process, not a position. Mastery is when you turn a desire into an absolute must. For Lightworkers and Darkworkers, these commitments are made for different reasons, but in either case, a conscious decision is made to devote one's time, energy, resources, and talents to the chosen role with a high degree of intensity. That intensity of focus is perhaps what most distinguishes someone who is polarized. You just listened to the post titled, "Are You a Lightworker or a Darkworker?" by Steve Pavlina of stevepavlina.com. Thanks again to Talkspace, the online therapy company that lets you message a licensed therapist from anywhere at any time. All it takes is an internet connection and a computer or their mobile app. Therapy isn't just about venting your innermost thoughts or digging into childhood memories. It's also about practical, everyday strategies for stress management and living a happier life. That's what this show is all about. And having a therapist simply provides you a designated person for you to talk to, who is trained to listen and help you make positive changes. The Talkspace platform has over 2,000 licensed therapists now who are experienced in addressing life challenges that we all face. To match with a perfect therapist for a fraction of the price of traditional therapy, go to Talkspace.com/old and use the code OLD to get $30 off your first month, all while showing your support for this podcast. That's the code OLD, and you can use that at Talkspace.com/OLD. Thank you for being here and sticking around until the end. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in tomorrow's show, where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.